Okay. Good morning. Although we have entered a brand new year in 2021, unfortunately, it appears to have begun in a manner we exited in 2020. Clearly, in reviewing a lawsuit filed January 1st, 2021, against the Gateway School District, the act of discrimination is still running rampant. What a message is sent to students, faculty, and staff administrators, parents, and the community at large when a school board director is the culprit in perpetuating racist acts that contribute to systemic racism that has existed in the school districts for years. School board directors have a specific responsibility to ensure there is great teaching, equitable resources, a vision, and goals established that adhere to the overall philosophy of educational excellence. Laws and regulations that impact the work of school districts are followed, and the policies are clearly constructed for implementation to improve the work of the district and its schools. However, in the matter of Paul Korie or any other school board director with a mind to demean and whose actions clouded by racism, the consequences must be removal by way of resignation or any other method conducive to individuals understanding that a community will not tolerate such behaviors. The Pennsylvania State NAACP, as well as the Allegheny East NAACP, will not sit idly by and be silent while school board directors grapple with whether or not to show favoritism to a specific candidate because of their race. It is absolutely reprehensible what Mr. Korie put in a text message and or email to any of his fellow board directors relevant to who a very well qualified candidate is married to. This cannot and will not stand. The NAACP stands with Mr. Hollis's law firm in ensuring and assuring that the civil and human rights of all individuals, particularly in the Gateway School District, is protected. The Gateway School District has had issues, long history of having racial insensitive issues relevant to its staff. It is time that the Gateway School District as a whole understands and realizes that they need an equity director in that district. We are honored this morning to have with us Mr. Todd Hollis, who is representing the plaintiff. We're going to give him the opportunity to speak to this specific issue as he can, in whatever manner that he can. And we hope that moving forward into 2021, the Trump effect will cease and desist in all areas throughout southwestern Pennsylvania. Mr. Hollis?
To the many members of the press who are here today, I want to thank you for your courageous response, to the moments that we've included in our complaint. And I simply want to say that on behalf of Ms. Rozier and her husband, they are very appreciative of the response that they have gotten from the community. Essentially, what this is about is Mrs. Rozier's hiring process. She is married to an African-American man. She is very qualified for the position of athletic director and has been. And I believe that, she would have gratefully accepted the fact that, she didn't get the position if that evaluation process, was simply on the basis of her qualifications. But in this particular instance, when we read, the information that was included in the text message, which is a part of this complaint, it strikes not simply at the core of Ms. Rozier's family, but at every American family. The principles upon which one should be evaluated should have nothing to do with who they love. And it's on that basis, and on that basis alone, that we have filed this complaint. This has nothing to do with the good work that all of the many teachers at the Gateway School District are doing on behalf of our kids, and in particular regarding my child. This is only about the hiring practices of the Gateway School Board of Directors. With that, I turn the meeting back over to you, Mr. Huston.
Thank you, Mr. Hollis, and thank you very much for the work that you're doing in representing your client. One of the things that I want to say to the press this morning, let me be clear. We want to, first of all, commend and applaud all the directors in their respective schools, principals, teachers and staff and faculty in the Gateway School District who are phenomenal individuals. I too have a child that is in the Gateway school system, and I can honestly say that they don't make enough money for all the excellent work that they do in public education. By no means are we coming or giving the appearance that we're not pleased with our staff and our teachers and faculty in the Gateway school system. We want them to know and understand that we appreciate them in the Pennsylvania State NAACP, as well as the local branch of the Allegheny East NAACP. But it is absolutely tragic that they have leaders who sit in positions in high places that have the mindset to embrace such a racist trope. It's just ridiculous. With that being said, we're more than willing to take questions from the press. Whatever we can answer, we're willing to do. And of course, whatever Mr. Hollis is able to say, he is available for you. With that, we will take questions.
Hello, this is Chandy Chapman, WTAE. I heard you briefly mention that you wanted Paul Korie to resign. Can you expound on that and kind of talk about more about what demands that you're seeking?
Thank you, Ms. Chapman. I appreciate that question. What we're seeking is for Mr. Korie to step down as a school board director. He should resign without fail. Do it fast and efficiently. The mere fact that he is sitting in the position of director in the Gateway School District School Board is scary. There's no other way to put it. We are demanding, requiring, requesting, and we will use whatever vehicle at our power to ensure that we get his resignation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any questions for Mr. Hollis?
I'll ask another question if not. Mr. Hollis, what is the mindset of your client? I know you can't say exactly what she's feeling, but with her family and what she's going through, could you talk a little bit about that, where her mindset is right now with all of this going on?
You know, absolutely. I speak to her and her husband every day. I would say anxious, anxious, and they're concerned. Now they've had to explain why there's so many people talking about their mom. They've had to explain, what the issues are. I mean, as a parent, as a single father, these are conversations that you shouldn't have to have with your child. We were brought up on the principles that, equity is truly, what is to be the evaluation for anybody's character, not who you love, not the fact that daddy is black and mommy's white. And, people don't like it and therefore mommy can't get the job. I mean, that's heartbreaking. So yeah, she's feeling a whole lot of anxiety at this point. And I've done my very best to allow her to understand the fact that this is something that we must do. This is something that everyone needs to be a part of, because at the end of the day, regardless of what happens to this lawsuit, it is not about money. It is about change. What is Gateway willing to stand for? What principles are Gateway's leadership going to use to guide us as we go forward? Is this something that they're going to do to drag this out throughout the system so that we can all remain divided? I'm part of the chat rooms. I'm a resident of Monroeville. I read what people are saying, and Gateway's going to have to make a decision. And that's ultimately what this lawsuit is predicated upon. Miss Rozier, is a beautiful person with a beautiful family. She should not have to endure this painful reminder of what we experienced in the 60s. How far has this country come in 2021? For what I can see, not very far.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions?
I have a question. This is
Sure.
Lindsay with KDKA.
Hi, Lindsay.
Hi. So you briefly discussed how Gateway, this isn't the first time that Gateway has had this type of issue. Can you expound on that a little bit and discuss a little bit more some of the history that Gateway, obviously, that you said has struggled with when it comes to situations like this one?
Well, Lindsay, that's an excellent question. What it brings to mind is the whole Terry Smith situation. One of the things that I found absolutely troubling is when Mr. Terry Smith, who was an excellent person that was a part of the Gateway school system, was literally told that he could not hold two positions, being the athletic director and the football coach. That rule was put in place by the Gateway Board of Directors. And of course, we know subsequently Mr. Smith left the Gateway school system. Huge loss for the Gateway school system. And then this board comes in and decides, okay, we want to bend the rules and change the rules to accommodate someone that we want to not only serve as our football coach, but also serve as our athletic director. So in the cloak of night, they decide to change the rule and then implement the ability to be able to serve in those very same capacity that you told the black man he couldn't serve. This is extremely troubling. Once again, this shows a pattern that the decision-making processes in the Gateway school system in the cloak of night. What we're doing in the NAACP at this conjuncture is we're challenging the community to rise up, pay attention to what's going on. We need individuals to run for school board that are going to have the, as Mr. Hollis said, the understanding of equity. And what does that mean? What message do we send to children that are in racial different situations in their families, where the mom may be black and the father may be white, or the opposite, the mother is white and the father is black? What do we say to our Latino population, our Indian population, our black population? What kind of message are we sending to our children that are phenomenal children in the Gateway school system when we see those that at the very top can make such a racist trope? I mean, I have not heard darky used since I read about it in the Jim Crow era. This is extremely troubling, extremely troubling. Also, the equity, the racial disparities as far as the achievement gap in the Gateway school system. What are they doing to really embrace closing those achievement gaps? And why does it always have to come down to, as Mr. Hollis said, dragging this through the process and making and screaming loud for them to understand that this is a serious issue in the community? So we're hoping and we're looking to rally the community and say, look, enough is enough.
One last question for me, Chandy, again. Have you had any correspondence with the district?
Is this for me?
Whoever can answer it, if you can answer it.
Well, the NAACP, of course, is willing to sit down and talk to the leaders of the Gateway School District anytime. Wherever they feel, whatever they feel they want to do, we can do it by Zoom. In the era of COVID-19, of course. I do intend to address the Gateway School District, school board, as a resident and as the local branch president, because I think it's important that they understand the seriousness of this situation. But we're not going to end there. We're absolutely going to do everything we can to speak to the Gateway School District. I'll defer to Mr. Hollis.
Like I said, this conversation isn't simply about money. The conversation is about change. That the school board or the school district is willing to have that conversation, we welcome it. But it can't just be, a tacit conversation with no substance. There's going to be some very tough questions that are going to be asked. And I think the residents of this district deserve honest answers. So to the extent that the district is willing to have that conversation, I can't think of one reason why myself and my client wouldn't be willing to be a part of it.
Are there any other questions? Any other questions? Well, thank you all very much for the opportunity to address you all. We thank you for tuning into this very serious issue. We commend the press for covering this in a transparent and equitable way. Again, the NAACP, our mission, our vision, and what we stand for is equity for all people. We are called the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, but make no mistake about it. We care about all races, all people, and we will fight wherever we see inequity taking place. So with that being said, on behalf of the Pennsylvania State NAACP, on behalf of the Allegheny East branch NAACP, we want to thank you very much. And we want to thank Mr. Hollis for taking the time out of his busy schedule. And we want more people like Mr. Hollis to be those soldiers on the field to fight the good fight of civil rights. So Mr. Hollis, on behalf of the NAACP of Pennsylvania, we thank you and we pray for your client, for their well-being and for their children and their children's health. So with that being said, thank you all very much for tuning in. We appreciate
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Houston. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.